In the quiet town of Willowbrook, nestled beneath the shadows of ancient oaks, lived a girl named Emily. Her fascination with dolls had led her to collect vintage toys from yard sales and thrift stores, but there was one doll that stood out among the rest, a Barbie from the 1960s, pristine and eerily lifelike. Emily was captivated by the doll's icy blue eyes that seemed to follow her every move. The doll's smile, frozen in time, gave her an unsettling feeling that something was amiss. Still, Emily brushed off her unease, attributing it to the doll's age and unique charm. One fateful night, a storm raged outside, casting eerie shadows across Emily's bedroom. Lightning flashed, briefly illuminating the room and revealing the Barbie doll standing on her shelf. Emily's heart raced as she saw the doll's expression had changed. Its smile had turned into a sinister grin, and its eyes gleamed with an unnatural light. As the storm intensified, Emily heard faint whispers in the wind that seemed to be coming from the doll. She strained her ears, trying to make out the words, but they were just beyond her comprehension. The whispers grew louder, filling the room with an unsettling cacophony. Trembling with fear, Emily reached for the doll, intending to put it away. But as she touched its cold, plastic skin, a shock coursed through her, causing her to recoil. The room seemed to shift and warp, becoming a nightmarish tableau. The walls were lined with rows of Barbies, all wearing malevolent smiles and staring at Emily with eyes that glowed like dying embers. The doll she had touched began to move on its own, its limbs jerking with unnatural grace. "Join us, Emily," the whispers echoed, voices now clear but unsettlingly inhuman. "Become one with us." Terrified, Emily tried to escape the room, but the door slammed shut, trapping her with the sinister dolls. They advanced, their movements synchronized and eerie. She could feel their cold plastic fingers brushing against her skin, their grip tightening like a vice. Desperation overtook Emily as she struggled against the doll's grasp. In a last-ditch effort, she grabbed the vintage Barbie from her shelf and hurled it against the wall. The impact shattered the doll's frozen expression, and a burst of dark energy erupted from it, engulfing the other dolls. The room trembled as if caught in an earthquake, and the doll's malevolent laughter filled the air. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, everything fell silent. Emily cautiously looked around to find the room back to its normal state. The dolls were nothing more than shattered fragments. Breathing heavily, Emily realized that the storm outside had subsided, and the night was quiet once more. She gathered the broken pieces of the vintage Barbie, resolving to never let her fascination with such objects cloud her judgment again. From that night on, she understood that some things were better left untouched, for even the most innocent-looking toys could hold darkness beyond imagination. In the heart of an old, forgotten toy shop, a dusty box lay untouched for years. It was a vintage Barbie doll, its once vibrant pink gown now faded and tattered. The shop owner, Mr. Jenkins, had always warned his employees to stay away from the box, claiming it was cursed. One gloomy evening, two curious teenage girls, Lily and Emily, decided to explore the shop after hours. They giggled nervously as they approached the box, ignoring Mr. Jenkins' ominous tales. As they opened the box, a cold gust of wind rushed through the room, extinguishing the candles they had brought. Unperturbed, the girls picked up the Barbie doll. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the doll's eyes seemed to glow a sinister red. A high-pitched, echoing laughter filled the air, and the doll's lips moved as if it were speaking, but the sound was just a chilling whisper. Terrified, Lily tried to put the doll down, but its plastic hands clung to her fingers with an otherworldly strength. Panicking, Emily grabbed a pair of scissors and attempted to cut the doll's hand from Lily's fingers. But as the blades touched the plastic, the doll's face contorted into a horrifying grin, and it let out a blood-curdling scream that reverberated through the room. The scissors slipped from Emily's trembling hands, clattering to the floor. Desperate to escape, Lily and Emily fled the toy shop, leaving the cursed Barbie behind. But the doll was not so easily discarded. That night, the doll began to move on its own, its plastic limbs creaking as it lurched forward. It navigated through the dark shop, leaving a trail of eerie red footprints behind it. The next morning, the shop owner arrived to find the once neat shelves in disarray, and the vintage Barbie doll missing from its box. He shuddered, realizing the cursed doll had escaped. As he searched for it, the doll's laughter echoed through the corridors, growing louder and more menacing with each passing moment. Unseen by anyone, the doll's presence began to infect the shop. Toys moved on their own, shadows danced in unnatural patterns, and whispers filled the air, promising unspeakable horrors. Employees reported feeling cold fingers brush against their skin, and some even claimed to have seen the doll lurking in the shadows, its red eyes gleaming. The curse spread beyond the shop, as those who came into contact with the doll met gruesome fates. The two girls, Lily and Emily, experienced terrifying nightmares that left them pale and sleep-deprived. They heard the doll's sinister whispers in their heads, driving them to the brink of insanity. As the curse tightened its grip on the town, Mr. Jenkins realized that the only way to end the nightmare was to find the cursed Barbie and lock it away forever. Armed with ancient texts and talismans, he ventured into the haunted toy shop, determined to confront the malevolent force that had been unleashed. The confrontation between Mr. Jenkins and the cursed Barbie was a battle of wills, a clash between the power of darkness and the strength of human resolve. In the end, after a night of relentless struggle, Mr. Jenkins managed to seal the doll inside an enchanted box, using his knowledge of ancient rituals to bind the evil spirit. The toy shop gradually returned to normal, though whispers of the cursed Barbie's horrors continued to circulate. Mr. Jenkins kept the enchanted box locked away in a hidden chamber, ensuring that the evil within would never escape again. But even after the doll was contained, some claimed to hear faint echoes of its chilling laughter in the wind, a reminder that some curses are never truly broken. In a quaint suburban neighborhood, there was a house at the end of the street that had been abandoned for years. It had always been known as the Barbie house due to its peculiar history. The story began decades ago when a reclusive toymaker named Mr. Wilson had lived there with his daughter Emily. Mr. Wilson was known for his exceptional skill in crafting lifelike dolls, especially his beloved creation, a life-sized Barbie doll named Isabella. The doll was meticulously designed, with porcelain skin, glassy blue eyes, and golden locks that flowed like silk. Mr. Wilson's obsession with perfecting his creations consumed him, leaving him isolated from the world around him. One night, a terrible storm raged through the town, causing a power outage that plunged the entire neighborhood into darkness. In the midst of the chaos, Emily disappeared without a trace. The townspeople searched tirelessly, but she was never found. After Emily's disappearance, strange occurrences began to plague the Barbie house. Neighbors reported hearing eerie whispers on the wind, and some claimed to have seen a shadowy figure through the windows. The most unsettling part was the occasional glimpse of Isabella standing in different positions each time, as if she were moving on her own. As years went by, the Barbie house remained untouched, a silent reminder of the tragedy that had unfolded within its walls. People whispered about curses and restless spirits, but few dared to venture near the house after dark. One summer, a group of curious teenagers decided to spend the night in the Barbie house, eager to prove their bravery. Armed with flashlights and cameras, they entered the house with nervous laughter, brushing off the unsettling feeling that settled over them. As the night wore on, the temperature dropped dramatically, and the air grew thick with tension. Strange creaks echoed through the house, and the flickering lights cast eerie shadows on the walls. The group huddled together, attempting to dismiss their growing unease. Then, a blood-curdling scream pierced the air, causing the group to freeze in terror. One of the teenagers pointed at the top of the stairs, where Isabella stood, her once porcelain face now cracked and weathered, her eyes gleaming malevolently in the darkness. They scrambled to their feet, rushing for the exit, but the doors slammed shut with an unseen force. Desperation turned to panic as they realized they were trapped. Isabella's hollow laughter echoed through the house as the teenagers frantically searched for an escape. The walls seemed to close in around them, and the once familiar rooms twisted into a nightmarish maze. One by one, the teenagers vanished, swallowed by the house's malevolent grip. Only one managed to escape, his eyes haunted by the horrors he had witnessed. He would later recount tales of Isabella's malevolent presence, her cold touch and haunting whispers that tormented him in the darkness. From that night on, the Barbie house remained sealed off, a sinister relic of the past. The town's children dared each other to approach its decaying walls, while adults warned of the vengeful spirit that lurked within. And so, the legend of the Barbie house grew, a cautionary tale of obsession, tragedy, and a doll that came to life in the most terrifying way imaginable. In the quiet town of Willowbrook, nestled between the dense woods and the rolling hills, stood an old, decrepit mansion known as the Thornfield Manor. The locals whispered tales of its haunting past, but none of the stories were as spine-chilling as the legend of the cursed Barbie doll. Years ago, a reclusive toymaker named Victor Thornfield had resided in the mansion. He was known for his eccentric creations, and the children in the town were always excited to receive his handcrafted toys. However, one fateful day, he became obsessed with crafting the perfect Barbie doll. Victor's obsession consumed him, and he locked himself away in his workshop, spending endless hours sculpting, sewing, and assembling the doll. He grew more and more detached from the outside world, losing touch with reality. His once cheery demeanor turned into a twisted, maniacal laughter that echoed through the halls of Thornfield Manor. Rumors spread that Victor had infused the doll with dark magic, hoping to give it life. One stormy night, as lightning streaked across the sky and thunder roared, a bolt of lightning struck the mansion, sending a surge of electricity through the doll. The doll's eyes flickered with an eerie light, and its plastic smile seemed to warp into a sinister grin. As the days passed, strange occurrences plagued the town. Children reported seeing the cursed Barbie moving on its own, whispering unsettling words to them in the dead of night. Objects would disappear and reappear in the oddest places, and shadows danced in the corners of people's vision. Fear gripped the townsfolk as they realized that the cursed doll was wreaking havoc. One evening, a brave group of teenagers decided to investigate the mansion and put an end to the doll's reign of terror. Armed with flashlights and trembling hearts, they ventured into the creaking halls of Thornfield Manor. Each step echoed with the weight of the past, and the air was thick with an oppressive dread. As they approached the workshop, a soft voice echoed through the darkness, "Come and play with me." The cursed Barbie doll sat atop a dusty work table, its eyes gleaming with a malevolent intelligence. The teens hesitated, trapped between morbid curiosity and sheer terror. Suddenly, the doll sprang to life, its plastic limbs contorting in unnatural ways. It leapt from the table, its once innocent features twisted into a nightmarish expression. The room filled with a chilling laughter that seemed to come from all directions. The teens screamed and scrambled to escape, but the doors slammed shut, trapping them within the cursed mansion. One by one, the teens vanished, their terrified cries echoing through the halls. The cursed Barbie doll's presence grew stronger, and its sinister influence spread like a malevolent force. No one dared to enter the mansion again, and the town of Willowbrook became a ghost town, its streets silent except for the haunting laughter that still echoed from the Thornfield Manor. To this day, the mansion stands as a grim reminder of the horrors that lurk within. Those who dare to venture near claim they can hear faint whispers and see a shadowy figure moving in the upper windows. The cursed Barbie doll, its plastic visage forever twisted in a wicked smile, waits for its next victims to come and play in the darkness of Thornfield Manor.